Hello, hi, I'm Pearl Howie, and this is my podcast, which is Pearl Escapes Fear of Success. And today's podcast is really in case of emergency. And as I'm speaking, we are going through a really difficult time in England right now and across the world as well. And I know what it's like to go through trauma, to go through really difficult times, and I've had to learn a lot of practices for getting through, and that's what I want to share with you today. And if you're wondering what that's got to do with fear of success, the answer is that when you actually go through your fear of success, very often it can bring up really strong feelings of fear, anxiety, and for me, very similar feelings to PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder as well. So whether you're going through a difficult time right now, or whether right now a difficult time you have gone through is impacting you, this is for you. And if you don't need it, put it to one side. Remember, it's here for you in case of emergency. Okay? So if you're out there having a difficulty, feeling strained, feeling scared, first thing, please remember that you're not alone. You really aren't. And in my travels of exploring the world and sometimes walking alone, sometimes being with groups, the one thing I've learned is that there's a very, very deep connection between all of us. And sometimes actually as spiritual people, spiritual seekers, the reason that we go off on our own is to explore that connection. So sometimes the further away we get from other people, the more we realize we're connected, especially for those who go on to, long retreats. And I went on the Camino de Santiago and I walked a lot of that on my own. And it really brought home to me the deep interconnectedness, but also the deep reliance we have on other people. You are not alone. You are never alone. You're always connected. And when we're going through feelings of real profound fear, it can often feel that we're alone. And it can often feel, perhaps because we haven't experienced this before, that no one has experienced this before. And from my own experience and from talking to more and more people around me, from reading books, from everything I've learned, we often go through these experiences and it's not uncommon, it's not spooky or weird, it's actually a natural thing, it's part of our life experience. But it's something that we're not often, we don't talk about it. It's like grief and grieving. That feelings like this can sometimes be talked about in a very general way, but you don't get access to how to deal with it. So my practices, let's just give you some of them. Okay, now the first thing is, if you've never done any breathing or meditation, don't worry, that's okay. But a really simple way of getting through the moment is just to focus on the breath and just to repeat in your mind, breathing in, I am breathing in. Breathing out, I am breathing out. Breathing in, I am breathing in. Breathing out, I am breathing out. And of course, you don't have to say that out loud. You can just repeat it in your mind. And this is a really good one if you're having difficulty sleeping. If you're feeling scared, just stay with that. So you're just repeating the simple, what you might call mantra, or just the facts, just the truth. All I know is whatever's going to happen tomorrow or the next day, right now, I'm breathing in. I'm breathing out. I'm breathing in. I'm breathing out. And this is life, life is going on within us. Life is going on within us. And to come back to that, just to hold on to it like an anchor when things become really, really difficult. And you can do this. I've had to do this, in experiences of my life. There are some times I've had to spend a long time just repeating that, just doing that, until I feel relaxed enough to fall off to sleep, until I am calm enough to think what next, until I'm collected enough to speak. And when there is an emergency, the most important thing is that you take care of yourself and then think about others. Because we have to make sure that we have to hold it together and act with calm, that. I say this, I'm saying this, and a little part of my brain is saying, yes, but if a fire alarm is going off, just get out of the building, okay? So ignore me if the fire alarm's going off, okay? And you might think I'm laughing about this situation. Yes, I am. Because it's crazy sometimes how scared we become about things. And when I look back at certain times, I can say quite categorically, what was I so scared of? What was I so worried about? But I also remember that in those moments, that fear was so real for me. And so for me, when I first started, showing up on bestseller charts and things like that, that was more scary to me than a time when I was on safari and there was a hyena looking at me trying to eat me, And when I look back at that, I think, well, that's crazy, isn't it? That is crazy that I had this fear of something that wasn't real. It was, oh no, people are going to see me. Oh, I'm worried about this. It was something like an illusion that I was scared of. Whereas in the other situation, I was standing there and a hyena was really looking at me like, I want to eat that girl. She looks tasty. And I always remember those little eyes going, I'm going to eat you, I'm going to eat you. So sometimes we have this real fear, and then sometimes we have an illusion of fear. And one of the great mantras that I have used time and time again when I have been going through, the eye of the storm and really facing down that fear is, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Because I know that for me, when I was going through those really difficult times, the fear was overwhelming. It was physical, it was shaking. And it really was something I just had to live through. But I did it. And I lived through that fear. And it went away. I got through that night of being scared. And in the morning when the sun came up and I looked out, I thought, what on earth was that all about? What on earth was making me so scared? And so here's another practice, another lesson for you to learn. They say it's always darkest before the dawn. And in many spiritual traditions, what people do is they wake up very, very early and they do a thing called sunrise meditation. Now, what I learned when I was going through difficulty, every day at that time in the morning, and I started doing research, was I started to understand that the time just before the sunrise is called the time of the spiritual warrior, okay? Because this is the time. This is the time when the shadows appear real. This is the time when our mind plays tricks on us. This is the time when our ego gets out of control. And so this is the time when you may need to practice more powerfully. You may need to really focus on that breathing in, breathing out. You may need to really focus on the only thing we have to fear is fear itself. you may have to focus on dissolving those illusions. And that's a really good practice, because when you can start to look directly at your fear, you can face it down and you can say, I'm not afraid of you. And every time you face it down, it gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And we practice overcoming the fear. And we get better and better at doing that. And every time we face down the fear, we get stronger, we get more powerful, and we gain power over our fears. And that's what it is to be a spiritual warrior. It's not to run away from the fear or to hide. It's to look it in the eye and say, I got you. I'm facing you down. And you can overcome those fears. And I could give you a massive list of all the fears that I've overcome, the things that I was scared of that now I embrace. I was scared of mountains and now I love the mountains. I was scared of doing this and now I love doing that. So many things. And that time before the dawn is so important, because that is the time when your fear shows itself, okay? So you can trick your fear at this point, okay? And this is a point when, say, so you're lying there and you wake up and you think, oh, I feel nervous or anxious or whatever. Okay, wait for it. Hunt it. Hunt your fear down. You can do it. And when that fear comes, what you have to do is you have to listen really carefully. Okay, so remember, you're the hunter of your fear. So in the early dawn morning, don't you worry, okay? If you go to bed, and I was like this, I was always worrying about, what was going to happen, and, what was my brain going to start saying? You wake up and you say, okay, I'm ready for you now. If you go to bed early, it's a really good idea to go to bed very early. If you go to bed about, say, 8 o'clock in the evening, your fear starts waking up at 4 o'clock, you are ready for it. You're going to take it down, okay? You can do this, okay? And so it comes up and your fear is going to say something, oh, this bad thing, oh, that bad thing, oh, what if this, oh, what if that? You hunt it, you wait for it, you lie in wait, you listen, but you do not believe the fear. You take the power, you take the belief away from the fear. So you lie there and wait, and your fear says, they're all going to laugh at you. And you look at the fear and you say, okay. Or you say, I don't think so. Or you say, maybe some people will laugh at me. Maybe some people will not like me. But maybe some people will be on the same wavelength as me. Maybe some people will meet me there. And we will be together and we will be friends. Because I wasn't afraid of the people laughing at me. And we look at that fear and we say, okay, maybe some people will laugh at me. That's okay. I can handle it. Go back to sleep. Or you lay in wait for the next fear, the next thing that your mind tries to trick you with. And you hunt that fear down. And so you have some solutions here. You withstand the fear. You breathe through the fear. You hunt the fear down. You practice going through the fear. And these are all ways to get through these difficult times and come out the other side. And every time you go through something, it will diminish. And you regain your choice about what you believe, your choice about what you put your faith in. Okay, because you must remember that that is your choice. If somebody tells you something to be scared of, You have a choice whether to believe them or to disagree. And you have the power over your own mind. It's just practice. And one more thing I just want to add to this. This is not a very long podcast. It's in case of emergency one. Okay. If you have any questions, please do let me know. At one point, I was going through a very difficult time like this, and I was waking up, and what I was doing was I was leaving my life. So I decided to, I had a lot of stuff going on. I decided to sell my house. I decided to leave England. I decided to let go of everything. And I was dismantling a life I had built. I was letting go of my career, my business, who I thought I was, my house, which was so important to me, and letting go and saying, I need to just find out who I am. I need to go and find myself again. And because that was a really big thing to do, I was changing my life in a really big way. And I guess a lot of people out there are doing that one way or another, making a big change and a big shift and changing your life. It's so brave, okay? But, you know, the old life, you know, has a power. The ego has a power. It wants us to kind of stay where we are. And so I would wake up really early in the morning, you know, at dawn every morning, and I was having the heebie-jeebies. I was having the, what would you call it? The early morning jitters, or whatever you call it, the 5 a.m.s. And it's, you know, if once you start to look into this and study this, you'll understand this is something that happens, you know, to a lot of people. It's this pre-dawn time and the time of the spiritual warrior. And I would get up, and I had to get out of my house. I had to get up and I had to go out. And I know that's not possible for a lot of people, so I apologize, you know, if this is difficult. But I would go and I would walk down by a river, and there was a tree. And what I would do is I was studying Don Miguel Ruiz, who is a famous spiritual teacher, and I do recommend you read his work as well. And I was thinking about this thing about, you know, belief, what you believe, what's real, what's not real. And it's very difficult when you change your life because you're letting go of certain beliefs. I need to live in a certain way. I need to have a certain job. I need to do. And I was letting go of a lot of beliefs, and I was struggling with what was real and what was not real. And that's something that is happening to us right now as well. You know, what's real, what's true, what's not. And it's very challenging for everyone. It's very challenging even to people who have been meditating for years. You know, this is not an easy time. Please don't believe, you know, a lot of mung bean stuff that's going on. Everyone's going, oh yes, I should be grateful for this time. It's like, still not grateful. Still not grateful for this time, okay? And that's okay. And the thing that I would do is I would sit by the river and I would look at the water, and I would understand the water is real, okay? The tree is real, but the reflection of the tree in the water is not real. This is just light. This is just a reflection of the tree. And it's something as simple as that helped me to separate the truth from lies. The truth of how I could live, where I could go, what I could do, and what I could not. Because if I was standing there, I could touch the tree and I could hug the tree, and I knew the tree was real. But if I had tried to hug the tree in the water, I would have fallen in, and it was not real. And this is how we find our bearings when so much is going on around us and we're being told many, many things. And we have to do our own research, our own understanding of what is real and what is not real. And one of the things in spiritual practice that you will find if you go to any Buddhist monastery or nunnery or whatever like that is, if people go and they want to go and to learn and be part of that community, they will usually have to do some work. They will be asked to participate in washing the dishes, mopping the floor, working in the garden. Because it's that tangible and that sense of what is real. And there is no, when we get all mung bean and spiritual and start meditating and being all weird and strange, part of that tradition is to come down to the most tangible. And there are very famous, teachers we might call swamis or gurus or whatever. And there's a very famous one called Rumi, who you've probably heard of. And he had a friend who, it was said that what he did is that because he was doing all this, like cerebral thinking about the universe and spirituality and things, what he used to do is he used to go and work, I think, breaking rocks or laying bricks or something, because he needed that touch and that manual labour in order to not like a balloon float away. And so one of the most important things we can do when we get confused is come down to what might be called in Buddhism or Zen, carrying water, chopping logs. To do something very, very simple, very practical, very tactile, as our way of grounding ourselves. Okay? So for some people it could be ironing. I hate ironing. I'm against it religiously. It's not, I hate ironing. But sometimes you might do something like cook a very simple dish, to bring yourself down, or just washing the dishes, slowly washing the dishes. And they say in Buddhism, again, when you wash the dishes, imagining you're bathing the baby Buddha, or taking a shower, and slowly enjoying that sense of feeling the water on your head and that feeling of getting clean, or just changing the sheets on the bed, or so you can see how much housework I do, that I'm trying to think about this, or hoovering or brushing the floor, or even just reorganizing the cupboard, doing something like that. We can do something that's very practical, but that brings us down and takes us to what is real. Because as much as we like being in a virtual world, we need to touch things. We need to come down to what is real and what is not. And that is a very important part of spiritual practice, to be physically in a place, to be present, to be fully present where we are, okay? And that can be very calming as well, as you could probably hear from my calm voice. And another thing, if you are having difficulty, I'm only going to offer just a few little pieces of advice. And number one is, please don't be afraid to pick up the phone and talk to people. Please don't be afraid to ask for help. It is one of the bravest things that you can do in life, is to ask for help, or to say, yes please, thank you very much. And I had a food delivery yesterday. I had an online delivery, and they changed it all, and they kind of delivered sort of too much of stuff. And I was really thinking, I don't need all this, but I thought, you know what, Pearl, just say thank you. Just be grateful. It's okay, because I have a lot of households here that I can share with, and they can say, oh, this is a little bit too much for me. That's okay. It's okay, because then you can always share with other people as well. But with the people that I love and I'm taking care of and I'm trying to support them, so often I'm saying to them, do you need anything? Do you want anything? Do you need anything? And they say, I'm fine, I'm okay, I'm fine. And then a couple of days later, I realise that actually they're running short of something. So please, don't be a hero, be a warrior, okay? Say yes, please. Say thank you very much. Accept help. Don't feel bad that if you're struggling, because That is part of being a spiritual warrior. You know, if it was easy, you know, my journeys have never been about tum-ti-tum, you know, it's all easy and easy pie. It's not. It's tough. We all go through tough times. Please ask for help. Please reach out. Please remember that you are not alone, okay? And I've been through really difficult times, and sometimes all I've done in my very profound way is reach out and switched on the TV and found a heartwarming film that I can watch that will take me through the next hour. And I've got through that, and I've got through the night. So please don't judge yourself if that's what you do to get through this time. It's all good, you know. If you want to watch Friends, if you need to watch Pretty Woman, during this time I've watched Pretty Woman, I've watched Moonstruck, I've watched Hitch a bunch of times. I've watched the whole many seasons of Buffy. Not sure I'd recommend it for everybody, you know. I'm looking over here. I've watched so many different films, and whatever helps you. Don't judge yourself. Like I say, you're a warrior and you can get through this. You will get through it. Just remember, I'm going to tell you one more thing. Okay, that's going to be it for the day. When I was going through a lot of difficult times, you know, I would go and I would do a lot of meditation, and certain answers would come to me. So this is one of the answers that came to me. And I have to remember it sometimes when things are really difficult. And it's this: never forget that the universe loves you. No matter how difficult it gets, there are times when we feel like, why me? Why is this happening to me? Why is it so difficult? And one day we can look back and we can say, you know what? I had to go through that. I had to go through that in order to come out the other side. It wasn't a punishment, but it was something that I had to do for myself, for what I've learned. And I really hope that helps you. If not, please message me. I'm on pearl@pearlescapes.co.uk. I've got loads of stuff online that might be helpful. And I wish you the very, very best. And remember, we're all thinking of each other right now. We're all loving each other. And we will get through this. And remember, don't be a hero, be a warrior. Lots of love. Bye.